Hi, this is Jared Davidson, and this is another update video about the GH5. Now, it's very interesting that Cinema5D have taken their lab test off their website and put an official statement there in its place. And let me read the statement to start off. Due to agitated discussion and hostility arising from our test of the Panasonic GH5 and our commitment to re-evaluate our test methodology based on reader comments, we have decided to temporarily remove this content while awaiting further feedback from the manufacturer. We value feedback from our audience, and our common goal is to find the most affordable and portable camera tools out there. Very curious to see what Panasonic says. So if you look at this statement, it's very interesting that they frame it in a way that they blame the community for being agitated and hostile more than they look at the potential flaws in their research. So that's kind of interesting. I would kind of hope for there to be more recognition of possible errors in their research or possible errors in their presentation rather than just blaming it on the community. That's what I kind of hope for, because it kind of puts the focus in the wrong place. Like I said in my previous video, it's really the way they presented the camera that's causing most of the issues. So regarding their research, regarding the 422 10-bit issue that they presented in their lab test, there's a new test by Slashcam. And I would like to thank Uki Mand, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, who commented on my video and sent me the link to this Slashcam test, which is very interesting. Because in the Slashcam test, they show that 422 10-bit certainly is better for grading. You get what you expect. You get smoother gradation of color when you grade. If you look at their tests, you can see on the cheek of the doll, you see a much smoother gradient when you do the grading. So from their tests, 422 10-bit clearly is better. Now, I tried very hard to understand their article. I read it a couple of times. And in order to read it, you have to use Google Translate and translate it from German to English. So it won't be perfect. But based on what I can understand, it seems as though currently Adobe and DaVinci Resolve have an issue interpreting the log files from the GH5. Because the 8-bit and 10-bit files give different readings for the blacks and the whites. But if you take the same files and put it onto Final Cut, you see that the files are the same, that the colors are the same. The Slashcam conclusion is as follows: whether it is the 422 chroma subsampling, the 10-bit color resolution, or both, in post-processing, the advantage over 8-bit 420 is clear. Especially with Vlog, the GH5 should work well here in post-processing, but Adobe and Blackmagic patented here, obviously this is from Google Translate, so some issues, which is why we cannot make reliable statements about the 10-bit quality of the GH5 in Vlog. Since there are also programs such as Final Cut Pro X or Media Player Classic Home Cinema, which work correctly to the extent that they do not show brightness or color differences between the clips, between the 8-bit and 10-bit, it is to be assumed that the 10-bit problems are not within the area of responsibility of Panasonic. Excuse the background noise. What Panasonic could definitely improve would be a clear statement whether the official Vlog LUT for the VariCam also applies to the GH4 and 5, because this question arises at the latest if the software bits and 10-bit files from the GH5 can correctly be read. So all of this needs to be considered, and none of this was really considered in the Cinema5D test. So this adds some interesting new perspective to this whole situation. So there's seemingly issues with the way that the files are interpreted, which can't really give you accurate results. So there may be a software error at this time. Now, I think a very good summary was put as a comment in one of the videos by Uki Mand. I'm just going to read that comment now. So this is the Uki Mand comment, which I've pinned on my video. I think Cinema5D has confused compression with bit depth, and this has been discussed quite a bit by quite a few people, including EOS HD. Next part of the Slashcam review, testing 8-bit versus 10-bit and Vlog L summary, they said that there is some issue how NLEs interpret the white points and black points of the footage. In Premiere Pro CC, neither 8-bit nor 10-bit fit the white paper from Panasonic. In Media Player Classic Home Cinema, the files look exactly the same. In DaVinci Resolve under OS X, the files are different again, even in comparison to Premiere Pro on Windows. In Final Cut X, the files are practically identical, but they can't really judge the white and black point because it gives percentage instead of values. Latitude for grading with Vlog is, as expected, better with the 10-bit material than the 8-bit. A lot less posterization when bending the image. They think that both Adobe and Blackmagic have to fix compatibility within their software to really make the most out of the footage and be able to actually judge the 10-bit Vlog from the GH5. So there you go. So thank you, Ukiman, if I'm saying that correctly, for your comments. It's much... So thank you, Ukiman, for your comments. It's much appreciated. Now, I also want to point you to some other GH5 reviews that have come online, which I think you guys might find to be very interesting. The first one is by Doug and Gordon from Camera Lab, and it's an hour video that goes into the GH5 in pretty good detail. And everything that I'm excited about in the GH5 is shown and presented clearly in the video. It looks great. The ergonomics of the camera, mind-blowing. And also, something very, very interesting is just the still photo functionality of the camera. It looks to be very, very good. We don't speak about that enough. The GH5 is clearly video first, or I guess I could say it's video first. I think that's fair to say. But the still functionality is great. Going back to the ergonomics, that full HDMI port, the dual SD card, the chunky buttons, the new knob, the grippier body. There's so much to love about the camera. Not to mention the 5-axis stabilization, the sensor stabilization in the camera. So excited about that to see how it does with my manual lenses. And my Lumix stabilized lenses, I have dual stabilization. So there's so much to love about the camera. I'm not going to get into all of that again. So check out the Doug and Gordon Lang YouTube video and the Camera Lab review. It's great. If you go to the Camera Lab review, there are video samples that you can download and play with, and he has a whole bunch of photo samples. Those photos look fantastic. You can check them out, download them. And speaking of the photos, you can go to Tech Radar and check out their review of the GH5. And they show in their review that the GH5 has really good dynamic range for still photography. That's something I'm really excited about. Great. So check out their review as well. Links are always in the description, as always. Also, check out the imaging resource review. Again, they show that the GH5 certainly has an improvement over the GH4 for still images. The colors pop a bit more. There's a bit more contrast. They can't say definitively that the dynamic range has improved because they couldn't get good tests from the raw photos. Tech Radar say that even the JPEGs seem to have better dynamic range than the GH4 for photos. So check out the imaging resource review as well. Okay, there's one final thing that I want to point you to online about the GH5, and that's a demo reel GH5 review by a Japanese filmmaker called Yoko Hamo Breeze. Very, very cool video. Check it out. His editing is sick. It really showcases a lot of the functions of the GH5, the slow motion, the Vlog. Great video. Check it out. So those are the links. They're all in the description. Check them out. One final thing I want to show you. I recently got this Pixco focal reducer / speed booster. It's a very cheap, affordable alternative to the Metabones. And I'm going to be doing a review on this and how you could use things like Canon FD lenses, manual lenses for your GH5, GH4. Right here I have the speed booster with a 51.4 Canon FD lens. Great lens, smooth focus. So I'm going to show you some great lens options that are affordable and very, very high quality that you could use for your GH5 using this or any other focal reducer. This focal reducer does have some issues, but it has a lot to like about it as well, especially the price. So subscribe to get the review on this. It's going to be coming up sometime soon. And also, before I do this review, I'm going to be doing some videos about my new toy. This is my new toy. I've had it for exactly a week now. The DJI Mavic. It's a fantastic drone. I've been flying it every day since I got it. So I'm going to be doing a video. The very next video that I'm going to be doing is my first impression after a week's flying of this DJI, and showing you some of the footage that I've got so far. So subscribe, stay tuned for these upcoming videos and a lot of other videos about the GH5, some vlogs, a bunch of stuff coming up. Thank you very much for watching. I hope some of this information was useful. The links are worth checking out if you haven't seen them. That's really the main purpose of the videos, to point you to some really good links of the GH5 that you can check out. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao for now. Bye. The sensor stabilized